ago, Melody came to us. So I'm sure she's overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed with how to utilize this position. We're trying to work together. So I'll let you say a few words about what you want to do, what you've noticed, and then you can go right into the naming of the community room.
Okay, perfect. So I will start with what I noticed. I have to compliment all of you because it is amazing to see how many partnerships already exist in this school. I've been in several different schools and everybody has some partnerships, but the strength of the partnerships, just to see all of you here tonight at the table, is wonderful. It's just not something you're seeing in every school in the district. So this really is a model, if other people might not realize that yet, but for what our community can really set forth in other schools. So my role, as Ms. Lee just said, is kind of still being defined. We are looking to build relationships with new partners, strengthen relationships with current partners, and also build a community with inside the building. So I would say those are our three primary goals in terms of what this community needs. So there are some things that we are, in fact, that we need to do as a school, and as we move forward, Miss Kelly Briggs will come and she'll be able to talk with us at one of our future meetings about what some of those things are to help us reach the goals for the school. In terms of the community room, one of the things that Ms. Lee had mentioned to me was how she would love to see the community come into the building and for them to also be served. Yes, they use the space, community room. I know Links for Kids uses the room. I know that sometimes there's a study after school or before school that takes place in the room. Scouts also uses the space. But we would love to see we would love to think creatively as to how that space is used. Whether it's a workshop that Geneseo wants to put on and use the space. One of the things we want to add to that is how can we involve our students? So we want to name it. So what we did was we asked 8th graders to help leave a legacy here in the building and to think of what are some people in our community who it would be an example of excellence that we could name the space after. So it was a great opportunity to engage students and allow them to think about what does excellence mean and who in our community delivers that. So I'm gonna go back to my computer because I have pulled up. I'm gonna share with you the names that they've come up with so far. I would love to receive your feedback as you all are part of the process. So the first one on the list is Mayor Lovely Warren. I'll just pick this up because I can't read it otherwise. It says, the first woman to serve as a mayor and second African-American woman, or African-American. Second name nominated was Garth Fagan. They said because Jamaican modern dance choreographer who has inspired many dancers in the area and around the world. Third was LaRon Singletary, one of the youngest police chiefs to ever be appointed in Rochester. Charles T. Lunsford, so after the school, African-American doctor in the Rochester community, was the first person to get a school named after him while he was still living. Mm-hmm. And then the last one, and I don't know who this is for, so forgive me, but Miss Sweet Potato Pie.
Oh, she's a community member.
Is she?
Yeah.
Okay. So Miss Diane Snowden Johnson, Rochester entrepreneur who encourages the importance of art and education. Love, love, love. So I'm going to turn, with that being said, I want to turn it back to you for a moment and just hear what are some of your ideas. How do you feel about those names? We'd really like to vet it through you and just narrow it down to 3, if we could. So what are your thoughts on the names presented so far? Any yays or any you think that need to be taken away from the list?
You want to do a turn and talk? So why don't you turn and
That's
talk
a good
at your
opportunity
table
for a turn and talk.
and have a quick little conversation around maybe your top 3 of those names that you heard, and then that way we can take the top 3 to our students.
Can you read them out?
And they will vote, yes. So our kids, just so you know, our kids are going to vote. The whole school is going to vote on these people. So ready? I'll say it without the whole description. Lovely Warren, Garth Fagan, LaRon Singletary, Charles T. Lunsford, Miss Sweet Potato Pie.
You have to see her. She dresses up and oh my gosh, gorgeous. Sweetest thing ever.
So I'll throw this out here. I don't think it should be named after Lovely Warren because she's not for public schools and she's pushing for a state takeover. Just as a teacher, I find it insulting.
Okay.
Not really supportive of things that are poverty either.
Good feedback. Excellent feedback.
Can you speak to the I'm sorry.
She's a community member. She encourages students to be artistic, whether it's through movement, poetry. And if you need more information, we can put this out here now, and maybe with the minutes, I can send more information or snapshots if that might be more helpful.
How long has she been a part of the community?
Oh, I want to say like, she's always lived here, 50 years at least.
I love that one because I feel like it's something the kids can relate to. Like Garth Fagan, yeah, he's amazing, but I feel like the way you're describing her, it seems like she would actually come in where Garth
That would
Fagan,
be-
it's a hit and a miss if he's
So that's-
traveling or not.
And also if you have other names that you want to put out there, because these are the names that came from students, from our student body so far. So if you think there are other names that we can put out there and maybe use it as a learning tool to have students do some research and background on some additional names, we can do that too. I mean, this process isn't set. We're really truly like bringing the process to you for some input and feedback.
Well, Frederick Douglass was real big too here. He has a church in the neighborhood, and he's on, well, actually 2 churches. So are we just looking like for community?
We did ask them to pick somebody who was still alive, only with the idea that that person could then come in and be a part of the
Right, that's what I'm
experience
saying.
and also be recognized, because we're trying to make this go 2 ways. Yeah, so I realized that they did put Charles T. Lunsford on there though as well, so. Yes?
I was thinking about Eva Thomas. It would be probably really delighted to come back, and this is like, her home in a lot of ways too. So,
So for those who don't know, she was the principal, well, Dr. Braswell, but yeah, so she was the principal that I pursued. Yeah.
yeah, and was a teacher before that,
In
and
this
her family's
building.
been involved in the school for a long time.
And she's going to lose her school?
Her school's on one of the lists of slated to be closed.
So some
Yeah.
good happening in her life this year would not.
Yeah.
won't
Well,
miss.
and she fights for arts and play and important
Yeah.
curricular aspects, yeah.
Any other names you want to throw out there? Thank you for that.
So I heard Eva Thomas and Frederick Douglass. Do we
I
don't
don't
No,
want
we-
to take away
you don't want to take
from
away
Yeah.
from that?
the mind of people like coming back, giving back, and just being able to serve and see, and making. I think that's critical because it changes when you add other people who's not living.
Right. How does the rest of you feel
Well,
about not selecting somebody who is no longer here?
I like the idea. Give people flowers when they're still around is fine. I really like that.
Right, while they can still enjoy it. Okay. All right. All right. Any questions about the process of how we're going to move forward? Okay. So if we have any suggestions for nominees, you can forward them to myself or Miss Lee, and she'll send them my direction. And do we want to wait until the next meeting, or are we pretty comfortable with moving forward now? Do you want to see a description of each person, as Ms. Lee mentioned? Yes? Okay, that would be perfect. All right, we'll get that to you.
All right, thank you for having that conversation. The next thing is ELT again. I'll come back to that one, only because I want to go to the state visit. So tomorrow we have the state visit, and the state visit is a new visit. We're in receivership, so we already received state visits, but this is a new visit. So the first one occurred today, actually, in 2 schools, and I haven't had a chance to touch base with them to see what it consisted of. but the information that was shared with me is that it's a person from the state who I haven't met before, or they haven't come in this capacity. And they sit down with me and look at my 3 overarching goals, and then they figure out ways to support me in those goals. So I was told that, the things I need to have prepared for tomorrow are just going to be whatever reports that I've done in previous visits, so they'll go through that with me. And I'm assuming, so I shouldn't, but I'm assuming they're going to help me to better align it to get stronger results in the end. So I can definitely update you after the meeting. This one is all day, which will be the longest state visit. It's from 9 to 3. So I'm just going to imagine it's going to be pretty intense. But hopefully a lot of good will come out of it in terms of concrete next steps. So I'll definitely loop you in the next CET meeting about what happened and what were the recommendations.
You want us all to bring coffee and ibuprofen over upstairs tomorrow?
Please, because you know what? I don't know if you notice about me, but I'm not very good on my feet in the sense that just tell me what I need to know or tell me what you want me to bring. I'll bring it. I'll be ready. I'll be prepared. But now my mind is like, okay, do I need this? Do I need that? Do I need this material? Do I need that material? So it's going to be interesting for me. I'll be a little bit out of my comfort zone, but definitely over prepared. So I'm going to go to the subgroups and then we'll follow back up with the OT. So what I want to do is a quick sharing of the subgroups, because I know a lot of people in this room have met on the subgroups, and those who have not, you have an opportunity to join a subgroup, because I believe the next slide has the list of the subgroups. So in the subgroups, if you could have a conversation, and I can add you about the role of the subgroup and what the subgroup does within our school community. And then any events coming up or ideas that the subgroup wants to do, produce, share. And then thinking about how that particular subgroup could assist with ELT, because that's still a constant concern. And I just want to share the concern with ELT is that we haven't been fully staffed. So what happens at the end of the day, half of our staff members are done at 3:30 and the other half go from 3:30 to 4:30. And we still have the exact same number of students. So it's the most challenging point in the day, and we're down 50% of our workforce at that point. So any ideas about how your particular subgroup could support would be fantastic. Any questions about this particular work time? Yeah.
Misty, did you want us to update the matrices that we were working through in the CET as it relates to our particular areas?
If you want to do that, you can, or I'm also going to take notes and I'll just update it and send it out with the PowerPoint as well. So whatever your team shares out, I will also create the notes of that from that meeting and send it out to all of the members that are here. Any questions on the work that's going to happen in those groups? So if we can give our work time about 12 to 15 minutes and then we can come back together. I'm typically on the community engagement team, so if we want to gather in the front area. Matt, you want to do restorative practices back in that area?
Yes.
And then instructional model. Rebecca, you want to do this area?
Yeah, just
Okay.
that's good.
All right, so if we can go ahead and break up into our groups and have that conversation, and then we'll have a quick share out. If you can choose one person to share out at the end, that would be fantastic.
My name is John Boutte, by the way.
Hi, John. I'm Melody. Nice to meet you.
How you doing? Good. Nice to see you again.
How you doing?
No, you're fine. You can sit right here or wherever you want. Yeah. I could be straight. Go for it. Whatever you want. Nobody wants to be.
All right, you want to go around the circle one more time just to do names? Monique Silas Lee.
Inger, or Inger, you would say.
John Boutte.
Melody Bishop.
Andrew Yancy.
All right, team. So anyone want to start with some background information, or is that on me?
I feel like this subgroup hasn't met in the time, right? So
Actually, we have a meeting coming up on Thursday, but that's that's the school level.
Oh,
the school
okay,
level
okay.
of the community engagement piece.
Gotcha.
But you're right, we haven't because we typically meet like once a month
Right.
during CET. But we did have one meeting off the calendar when we needed to get a few items done.
Yeah.
So we had like one ad hoc meeting.
Yeah.
So is that one thing we want to do? You want to get a consistent meeting date for this smaller team?
yeah, maybe.
think it's important.
I kind of don't know like where we left off a little bit.
Yeah, and I
As a
haven't been,
person.
I missed a few meetings, so I don't know where we.
So where we left off was just talking about, I believe it was community events and how can we bring the community in, and we did a little ad hoc meeting around different ideas, and a lot of those ideas came out in the last meeting where we talked about how can the community agencies support ELT, because that was our area, it still is our area of need.
Is that, I thought we were doing away with that. Are we keeping it till the end of the year?
We are going to keep it to the end of the year. I must admit that I was really pro getting rid of it, but then when I sat down, I thought about the transition that students and families had already had with all of the layoffs, and then, you know, now we're going to switch your school time. I just didn't think it was in the best interest of families if we could become fully funded, because being fully funded wasn't an option at that time. But once it became an option, I felt like, you know, we could do this for a few more months for our families. Sure. So that's where the change,
And it changed the game up too. You know, more staff. You know, create a curriculum that really can like suit the needs. 'Cause it's tough when you have little staff to work with.
And then when one person's out,
Then it's like a domino effect. It's like really. So I can really see it being successful as long as we have the staff. I think it really will, like, the students will receive the benefit, and we all can, you know, benefit from it, you know, by helping each other and just working along.
so can I just back up for one quick minute? What day would work if you would like to meet consistently once a month? So does anyone want to throw out like a day, time type thing?
I think that this little subgroup had met on Mondays a few times, and that seemed to work for people. Like, it was like a Monday midday
Check my
or
calendar.
something.
Okay. We did, you know what, you're right, we did meet.
There were a couple of those at like 2-ish. Those have worked for me so far.
Okay.
I know that you're here already on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Is there a time that you're here other than?
No, I think Thursday is
Okay.
pretty open. I don't have my calendar with me, but I know that I was able to make the Monday meetings.
I'll look at my calendar because I think it was Monday. I'll just do a search on my calendar real quick to see when they were.
So Prac works on a monthly basis with the restorative teams like that.
I know most of the
It's a conversation.
You guys can keep talking. Sorry.
Well, I had a question. I don't know that anybody else can answer it. Is in being strategic as to where I know we probably need support across all grade levels, but where are we feeling it the hardest? Like, is it a particular grade level? If we had to say if we had somebody, where would we put them first, so we can kind of strategically try to plan for which partners could go into what locations? Because what you would serve with 8th graders would be different than
Correct.
second grade. So I'm just trying to think in terms of what would be appropriate.
And I think like one of our like weaker points, like as of right now, would be middle school. I think that's where we lack majority of support. Is that true, Miss Lee?
Yes.
And I think that's where the need. There are a couple partners that has signed on board that's willing to contribute. It's just we was trying to iron out whether we can have it. You know, there's been a lot of transitioning going on in the last couple of weeks, so just trying to iron out, and now we know the full message across the board that we will be funded and there will be ELT. I think now we can roll forward on how we're going to execute the plan. I think now we just need to come up with a structure, whether Monday and Friday still going to be club days, and then we roll out a curriculum between Tuesday and Thursday. I think that's what's the critical point. And then I feel like we can have different agencies come in if that needs to be, or whether the core teachers will drive instruction with support, with develop a support staff there, because we will still be there also. But I definitely think it's very doable with more bodies and more people on board to make it happen.
Is there like specific? So I know you guys have club days. What, Monday, Friday?
Correct. Monday, Friday, as of right now. But I think it's still up in the air where things can change. But currently the structure is Monday, Friday, and due to all of things shifting, students have been doing IXL just to try buy time because we didn't know where we would fall. So I think a structure is definitely needed for those, how the week will look.
And is there anything like, and obviously know all these changes are very recent, but is there anything that's in play already as far as like ELT curriculum or ELT classes or ELT activity blocks or groups or however it's shaked out?
When we first started, there was a curriculum base that was sent out to staff, which Mondays would be club days. We had Tuesday was
I think we did like a bullying project.
yeah, but like each day represents. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I know Thursday was always IXL.
Okay.
Wednesday was it was a curriculum that kind of like connected the dots between the classes. So there's a teacher we present an idea, and then we make a connection amongst all the classes. So if it tied to science, that was the initial. But I don't think it really ran because when the staff was short, it kind of like it really had a domino effect, and everybody.
Because it became a management issue. It became a student management issue.
So we really was buying time, just trying to create a safe environment, just drive some instruction, but not like the heavy because certain people like not certified in certain areas. So we now with it's like stepping stone that we're gonna do it. I think we can kind of like set stone a concrete schedule that will benefit everybody, and we stick to that structure. I know Thrive program is supposed to start. Just trying to iron out the times and dates, but we have Thrive program, which is parenthood and teen pregnancy, and then we have the PEDS, prevention education. They're already ready on board, just ready.
RIT, they're just ready they're waiting for the go ahead.
And we were just waiting for the finalization of how it's gonna, and then what it's gonna look like. I know that's still in my mind of, from going from Monday through Friday club days, and then those Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, like how would it look for someone coming in, and then if the core teachers are gonna be here, because I got different like ideas in my mind. I was just thinking like if the core teachers are going to be here, maybe we could make a connection and we drive in that instruction and having support be in the classrooms to kind of assist, and then have a rotating calendar to where these outside agencies, the community partners, coming in driving workshops. I think something like that is also doable, but it's just
So they eventually hit each kid, is that what you mean?
correct on a rotating schedule. So I know PEDS will come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday every week.
Monday, okay.
Which age groups are PES doing?
They will do middle school.
Okay.
Currently, the way we have it set up, though, they will cater to 7 and 8 because they do cater to 6. But how we have it structured, the 6th grade level, they go out and do their own thing. They got like an already structured thing how they got going on. But middle school for 7 and 8 is kind of like where we falling short.
Okay.
So during the club times, are the teachers teaching their own type of club, or for the kids that aren't going to the clubs, like how does that work?
It's not an option not to go, right? Okay, this is how it was ran. There was different.
So there's like 5 or 6 choices of
Yes.
clubs.
Okay, and
So
then
the
the kids got
students,
to
they
pick.
choose from that 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Open gym. It was poetry club. You had dance.
arts
You had
and
chess, arts and crafts. Oh, and then you had a mindfulness room where kids learn how
Okay.
to meditate and stuff like that. But that was only on Monday and Fridays.
Only Monday and Fridays.
And they do like that. It's the Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday they don't like. And it's hard finding or running those clubs every day.
Of course. You
Right.
get new interesting things every single day.
So what are they, I'm just curious, what do they currently do during that time? Just IXL?
IXL teachers come up and the staff members that send those places from. I know they just.
So it's babysitting. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
say.
Okay.
It's not really
It's
structured.
student management
Yep.
right now.
Okay.
So another thing I just want to talk about was the elementary level, because I know Links for Kids, you come in and it's not technically at the end of the day, but because they have that embedded into their day, they're able to continue with instruction at the end of the day. So also thinking about ELT a little differently. I know I've spoken to other grade levels. In middle schools, their ELT is technically at the end of the day. But at the elementary level, they have the flexibility to say, we want links for kids to come in at 2 to 3, and then at the end of the day, they continue on with their math instruction. So it doesn't always have to be that particular time frame. So if someone or a community agency is willing to come in, but maybe they're more like a 1 to 2 o'clock community agency, we can link them up with the proper grade level that it'll align.
It would, right. And there is space in there. I mean, in that community center. I mean, other than Links for Kids and Scouts, those are the only 2 that are booked in there every single day. Well, not every single day, but every single
Club is coming on Tuesday.
I think they are. Yeah, I reached back out to her today just to find out the same time, the time frame.
4:30 to 6.
Oh, so it's after school, so we're good. We're golden.
And then they have the, don't forget they have the.
We have about 3 more minutes until
they
we
have the
share out.
prayer. They have the prayer in the morning too.
In the morning, right? Yep.
We as Links for Kids can come in and do some club time if you have it for 5th
That'd be awesome.
kindergartners too.
That would be fantastic.
Or for the 5th graders, because we have 5th graders now
Oh, that would be awesome.
that are with our little kindergartners together with an adult. So maybe we can do something, talk about Links for Kids, or I'm just thinking on the top of my head. And
No, that would
Right.
be very helpful.
But you say kindergarten and even 5th.
5th, yeah. Because we have some student from 5th grade
Right now.
that are coming in, so maybe there's a more. We can talk to Matt about that. If there are more students getting more curious about what's going on there. And
Yeah.
And I would like
People
to
are
think
already
outside of the
starting
box, because I have to admit in the beginning, I just thought clubs, ELT is something that happens at the end of the day. And I have to be more flexible in my thinking and understanding that it's just we have them from 9 to 4:30. And what we do within that time is up to us.
I know that you sent the opportunity to me the other day about the girls on the run. If we had somebody that would come in and do that, that will take several weeks to complete. And those kids, those girls, when they're finished, could do something else that's maybe related to girls.
Yeah.
what is Girls on the Run?
It is a class where the girls practice their endurance and they run, walk.
Okay.
So it's physical activity, and there's usually like a little mini lesson along with it about taking care of yourself. And then they do a 5K at the end at MCC.
Great.
So, and given, other schools that do that, they don't usually end as late as we do. So to get girls out and running after dark, it just isn't the best idea. So we want to try to do it earlier. So that would be perfect.
It goes along with me being more flexible in my thinking.
Girls run up and down the hallway.
And I mean, and why can't they run at noon? Why can't they run at 2? Why can't they?
They do
can.
another, yeah, they could do it.
And also, as my mind is going, I'm wondering if possible with the new support, will it be possibly to try to create a little study hall for during that time, so students who are really serious about it, because there are kids who take the time up, they'll leave lunch and they're really serious about their grades, giving them the opportunity that there's a place where you can really do your homework, catch up on some stuff. I think it's very critical, for the students to catch up and have just a study hall where they can, take care of them. Work.
And are there any specific targets you need to meet for ELT as far as it has to be STEM related, it has to be curriculum related, it has to be something related, does it have to be in a specific framework as far as looking for partners?
So the answer is initially yes, but fortunate for us, we've already met our ELT time.
Okay.
So we've already met that academic piece. So I feel like we have a ton of flexibility in what we do with ELT at this particular point, because we can stop ELT right now and make that indicator because of the work we've already put in. So there are guidelines around curriculum, making sure it's project based, but a lot of things we're talking about doing fall right into that. So yes, but because we've already met that indicator, I feel like the second half, and it's a really tough half, we have the creativity to expand into what we need it to be.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about it, not tied to so much at this point. We really can cater to the students' needs and really try to
30 seconds.
push off something that will work for everyone.
That was a great conversation. So I just want to let you know that I did check on the meeting. Amanda, you were correct. We met Monday, October 7th and Monday, October 28th. So we can continue with Mondays. We can look at Thursdays. So I can send out a quick feeler if you guys want to see what might work.
I'm open to whatever day.
The other thing I wanted to throw out from this team is that we are having a community blood drive at Flint Street on Saturday. So you're welcome to come. If you need some flyers, we can get you some flyers. But we're looking forward to that being a huge event. We did one last year, and we're looking forward to it growing this year.
It was pretty good. I was there last year,
And I was actually out of town, but I heard it was awesome. But I'll be here this year.
and I usually cut hair. Students come in and just try to.
Nice.
All right, teams, thank you so much for your conversation. I'm wondering if we can just come back together and you can stay in your same areas and just do a quick share out before we get ready to conclude. Is there any team that maybe wants to start first around their discussion? I can. So we are the community engagement team, and the first thing we talked about, and thank you Amanda, because she is, we're gonna get on track girl, which I love. She's like, well, we used to meet and we haven't had our meeting. So that was the first order of business, because we used to meet outside of this meeting. And our goals when we're meeting outside of this meeting is how do we bring the community into our building? So what kind of advertising do we need to do? How do we bring other agencies in? How do we bring just the neighbor across the street, like come over and have coffee and donuts? So we need to get back to that. So we're going to schedule those again. We talked about ELT and the challenges with the middle school structure. We talked about things like having a rotating schedule and flexible thinking. And how come we can't come up with like a pass for middle school students that says library, tech room, and then the teacher can circle where they go. We have the adult there, so they have some voice and choice in where they go and what they do. Another good point was brought up around ELT. Do we have to follow a curriculum? But I feel very comfortable being very flexible and making sure it's very student-centered. Because yes, you do have to have a curriculum, and yes, it has to be project-based in a certain number of hours, but we've met all of those requirements. So why can't we think outside the box and make it what we need it to be for our students at this point? And then we talked about Links for Kids and thinking outside the box again. They primarily work with our younger students, but why can't they come in and do small groups with fifth grade? And fifth graders are already connecting with kindergarten. And in my mind, and then this is me, I own this, ELT has to be from 3:30 to 4:30. But we have the flexibility. Why can't ELT for first grade be from 1 to 2? And then they continue with their math or science instruction at the end of the day. And then being creative and having our partners come in midday, middle day, morning, afternoon. And then last, an advertisement for our blood drive that will be happening on Saturday from 10 to 2.
And there is free breakfast, so let people know. People love food. There's free cuts, free food, and we have a good time and just interact with different people in the community and different community partners. A lot of community partners come in and just make the community aware of the services that they offer.
Instructional, we just solidified our building-based strategy for math to help students work through problem solving. And it's case, close reading, analyze, solve,
explain.
And explain. So that goes along with our ELA strategy of CEA. So we've rolled that out at grade levels, and each grade level is using that common language so that students can work through those problem-solving skills in math. We're also in the midst of our winter benchmark assessments. So at grade level meetings, we're starting to look at that data, compare it to the fall, and see the growth and target specific groups of students to then kind of help them with skills for the end of the year and also for the assessments, the state assessments.
Do you have any questions for them? Clarifying questions or statements? All right, restorative, you're on. Thank you.
So a couple of exciting things happening in the restorative work. First, as it was mentioned earlier, we're going to be rolling out the Mindfulness Center in February 3rd, I believe, or that first week in February. The purpose of that is to proactively teach staff and students mindfulness strategies that they can use in the classroom, and to use those strategies to help decompress or deal with some of the trauma that they've experienced in their past. And it's also a place of calmness and just a place to escape. It's not meant to be reactive. So if a student is in trouble, they don't go to the mindfulness room. It's really a proactive approach. So it's scheduled for teacher use, for students to use, to really come in there already feeling okay, and just now we're going to work on some yoga, we're going to work on some breathing. So it's just really, it's very much set up that way in the room. There will be a tracking system, so when kids come in, they will be saying how they feel, and that'll be tracked initially, and then before they leave, they'll then sign out how they feel when they left. So we're tracking to see how it helps kids. Some of the tracking, the measurements that we'll use to see the effectiveness of that room will be, we'll look at referrals, violent offenses, suspension rates, things of that nature, to see if the use of that after an entire marking period, if we've seen a trend or a pattern where things have decreased. So that's an update in terms of level 1 school safety. We still are currently running our family crews on a regular basis to build relationships with students, and those are in the morning with teachers, and then during ELT there's some circling that goes on as well there. Another exciting thing that happened recently, and we're going to be doing a second one, is we've done a fellowship with the boys. So myself, Mr. Simmons, and Mr. Cunningham, a social studies teacher, had invited middle school kids to stay with us right before Christmas break, the last day before Christmas break here. And they stayed here with us till about 10 o'clock at night, and were picked up, and we called it a night of fellowship. Mr. Simmons cut hair, we had PlayStations here, we watched a movie together, we ate pizza, the kids loved it, so they're calling for another one, so we're scheduling one in February, the last Friday before February break. So we're looking to do a fellowship once a marking period, and then grow it from there. We're looking to get something started for the girls, maybe a sisterhood of some sort, so that's something that we're going to work on moving forward there. We do have a poverty simulator that was scheduled originally in December, but that has decided to take place. We decided to transition that into April. It'll be happening, I believe, April 6th at our building. It'll be in partnership with 46 School. The purpose of that is to have staff kind of walk in the lives of someone in poverty. So we're working on our culturally responsive and implicit biases when we're communicating with parents on a regular basis. So that's the purpose of that.
Where will that be?
I think it's
What's it?
April 3rd.
Oh, it's April 3rd, I'm sorry.
It will be here.
Here.
Yeah, it'll be here.
Okay, here,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
thank
the
you.
training will be here. So there's that. Kevin Baldwin meets on a monthly basis with our restorative team. He's doing a professional development with them. But we just spoke as a team, and we believe that Kevin and David Sanchez are both certified and could deliver free training to some of our staff here on some of the restorative work. So I think what we'd like to do is get some internal staff certified as restorative in circle trainers, so that we can deliver that PD in-house to the rest of the staff. So that's something we're looking at growing out there. And then the last but not least, Mr. Matt and Mr. Simmons have both reached out to put together systems for kids to advocate for circles and mediations. So in 5th and 6th grade, they have a box where kids will drop in slips advocating for a circle if they have a conflict or they want a mediation. They've been doing that since the midpoint of last marking period, or this current marking period, the second marking period. We just finished decorating a locker, and that's for the kids in grades 5 and 6. And for grades 7 and 8, we decorated a locker with Ms. LeMay, our art teacher, and Mr. Simmons. They painted the locker, and that process actually officially started today. Well, kids will have slips, and they'll put on a slip, we would like to have a circle. That locker will be checked on a regular basis for circles and for kids that have conflict, so they can advocate for their own, because sometimes just staff can't get the kids, so this is a way kids can advocate for that. So those are the exciting things right now going on with restorative work in our building.
Thank you so much. Any questions for the restorative team? Okay. Any questions for the good of the order? All right, so at this time, our meeting has concluded. Everyone that's on that sign-in sheet will receive a copy of the PowerPoint and the minutes attached, and it'll also have the next meeting date.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.